Hey guys, this is Feiwu from Feisworld Media. Thanks for watching this video. This is a follow-up video to PUA, and I didn't realize how much interest there was related to PUA, which means Pandemic Unemployment Assistance. It doesn't mean that you have to be completely out of job, your income needs to be down to zero. The level of support you will get really depends on, how much money you made last year, whether you have dependents or not. Some of the things I need to call out: number one, if you were employed by an employer last year in 2019, you do need to go through the regular unemployment service first. Now, the PUA in Massachusetts is now open to gig workers. That means if you're an Uber driver, freelancer, or contractors. One other thing I want to talk about is the fact that, again, I'm not an accountant or legal advisor. I've never claimed to be, don't even pretend to be one on Zoom. So please keep that in mind. I am trying to share my knowledge as much as I can, and I know there's a risk or a possibility of negative comments or asking more questions I unfortunately won't be able to address. I apologize, but I'm here to share my experience. Which I'm hoping to do in a second is to take you behind the scenes of what the login looks like, what's behind the scenes once you have a login from PUA, the information they will ask for, and more information they might request beyond the initial login. All right, so we are inside the MassGov Pandemic Unemployment Assistant website. So once you apply for PUA, it took me about 3 to 5 days to... There isn't a lot going on. I actually thought the user experience is pretty good, but you do have to understand what you're looking at when you're dealing with. So first of all, you have 3 tabs that are Summary, Action Center, and More. So under Summary, you will see a list of your previous claims, and that's what they're called. So the claims, you have to submit all your claims on Sunday. And most people do it first thing Sunday because their week goes from Sunday to Saturday. They give you until Saturday at around midnight to calculate your 1 week worth of income. So then on Sunday morning, you're going to go in, and first thing what you'll see is under Action Center, you're going to see a little call out. So the questionnaire is actually fairly straightforward. There are about 3 to 4 different questions. All right, let's do a quick walkthrough of what the filing process is like. So find your week and click on File Weekly. Here are the instructions. You'll be asked a series of questions, but not too many. To make sure that you compile your earnings between that week, starts on Sunday all the way through Saturday, end of day. Now, did you work or telework between Sunday and Saturday? So you say yes. Did you work full-time or part-time? And you're going to enter the required amount. And I am going to enter $100. Or you can check, if there's no earning, you can check this checkbox. So between what I've gotten paid versus what I had to pay my vendors, I had $100 left for the work I did, and it says, did you receive any other income between that time, cash or otherwise? You can say no. If you don't have anything else, then you go on to the next screen. So go through these questions very carefully, and for example, just make sure you check, you can only have one option, so check that's most relevant to you. And for a lot of people watching this, most likely self-employed, independent contractor, gig worker, and who has severely limited my ability to perform work. And you can say the final question here are ability and availability. Are you available to work? That is also important. So in order to consider, you must be able and available to work. That's it. Finally, you agree that all the information is accurate and you can submit. So your weekly claim for the week of Sunday has been submitted. You can go back to your status. A payment will normally be made between 4 to 7 days for individuals. So as you can see, when you come back to the homepage, you will see a full list of everything you submitted, including the week that you just processed. So the option for accepted is called payment initiated, and the ones that are denied called excess earnings, which means you earned too much and therefore disqualify yourself from getting any unemployment assistance. The number can be pretty tricky, to be honest, because, for example, if your pandemic unemployment assistance is, say, $250 a week and week to week, and if that week you earned something like $600, but it's still a lot less than what you got paid in 2019, there's still a really good chance that you will disqualify yourself from getting the assistance. All of us collecting checks maybe on the 1st, on the 15th of each month, and then in between the weeks that you might not get paid. So for a freelancer, it may be normal as I'm talking to other people. And again, this is based on me talking to a few other people, doesn't represent your exact situation. Based on what I've heard from freelancers, it's quite common for them to be denied for a couple of weeks out of the month and be accepted for the remaining weeks of the month. We talked about Action Center, and there is a phone number. I can only imagine that this number is going to be tough to get through. And, that is just the reality of it. And there's site policies, Department of Unemployment Assistance, and some links here and a phone number. Now, under more, this is where you will access more information. First of all, it's really important as soon as you apply and is to come to more and update your benefit payments option. So underneath here, you have the option to select whether it's direct deposit or a debit card. I would recommend direct deposit. It seemed to really work out quite well for most people. Now, over here, you also see that there are messages, communication methods by, paper or electronic. These are pretty basic. You have letters as well you receive from the agency, and I'll show you an example of the content that it contains. And appeals, you can appeal a determination you received, for example, when you're rejected, and you can update your address. Now, one thing I mentioned before we leave this page is there is a chat bot. However, it is quite limited. Here, hi, I'm your PUA digital assistant. I'm here to help you. And for example, if I type in what is gross income, here it says 2019, please enter all earnings from employers, independent sources. For self-employment income, please do this. Line 31 of Schedule C of Form 1040. That's actually pretty helpful. If this chatbot isn't making sense, you can actually click on this link right here. So the good news with the chatbot is that it will try to answer as many questions as it can, but then after that, you're able to chat with an agent. One thing they don't really explain too much is they will tell you your qualification each week, how much money you'll get each week, and the additional $600 you get from federal support. An additional $600 you get from federal support. However, it doesn't really explain in details. We'll show you the exact calculation, what it is they use to arrive at that number. If you get denied, there is a section where you can appeal. So how it works at a high level is you have to log into PUA and enter and confirm your information. It's a very short survey, fairly intuitive after you've gone through it a couple of times. And as soon as you submit the application, you basically get a yes or no almost immediately. And the reason is pretty clear. They either say payment in process or your weekly allowance is denied because you exceeded the amount of money you're allowed to make for there to be an assistance, if that makes sense, right? Now, the tricky part is something everybody struggles with. What is gross income? First of all, PUA requires you as a freelancer, sole proprietor, to enter your gross income. What does that mean? Look it up under Google. A gross income basically for an individual or a business is the amount of money you collect. Now that's not only in checks, but also in cash. If you collect, for example, tips as a waiter, waitress, that is all part of your gross income. Now, another thing to notice, for example, for me as a small business owner, when I run an event, for example, not so much these days, or when I develop a website, when I produce videos, even though I myself edit videos, I work with other people, a team of people to help me achieve a better, more optimal results. So for example, if the client project is say $2,000, I might spend $1,000, even $1,500 trying to organize that project, my involvement may only be $500 out of the $2,000. Therefore, for me personally, the gross income would be $500. So how do I feel about that situation? Well, the tricky part is, as a business owner or as a freelancer, there are a lot of expenses associated with the business, even though they don't seem like a lot when you put them on the credit card. But once you look at it at the end of the month, it's like, okay, there's $30 here for this piece of software, and there's $49 there for the social media management tool, and there are ads we have to spend on Google and YouTube. You know, right now, the challenging time that we live in is that it takes a lot to survive as a business, right? You can't just rely on your gross income anymore, because a lot of that's going to go right back to the business. In fact, the advertising spend is down, even on YouTube and everywhere else. Well, the viewership, the consumership is up. It's because people have less money to spend on ads. So one thing to mention is, if you are a green card holder, if you're an immigrant living in this country, at some point after a week or two, even if your application is approved, you have received your first or second payment, chances are that PUA may require more information from you. So what are they? A picture of your passport, social security card, your driver's license, or your residence card, and lastly, your green card. So a picture of your green card. So be prepared to have those information at hand. And if you don't do that, sometimes, your money will be put on hold and you might not get assistance right away.